If I could pick who I wanted to be when I grow up, I'd choose Jade Elektra. And not just because I always wished to be a stunning and statuesque black woman who rips the roof off every time she sings, or because she's a well-loved recording star with such hits as Bitch, You Look Fierce, Why You Gaggin', Reading Glasses, and HIV Vogue, which she recorded to raise money to fight AIDS and help raise awareness, to go with the art of her husband, John Allen. Yeah, all of which you can see on YouTube. It's not even because she is a New York show bar legend, does a near-perfect Billie Holiday, and has an extensive list of television and film credits, including to Wong Fu and Stonewall. No, the real reason I want to be Jade Elektra is her wardrobe. I mean, it's completely to die for. But don't take my word for it. Check it out.
Kevin came from Miami, FLA. Hitchhiked his way across the USA. Plucked his eyebrows along the way. Shaved his legs and now he was a she. She said, hey babe, take a walk on the wild side. I said, hey honey, take a walk on the wild side. Hey babe, take a walk on the wild side. I said, hey honey, take a walk on the wild side.
I was really small.
Alright.
I was always mistaken for a girl when I was a little boy. My grandmother used to take my hair and braids, like cornrows. So like people would always go, oh, what a cute little girl. And weirdly enough, my grandmother never corrected them. So you know, I guess my identity started then when I started thinking about what feminine was or whatever. You know, there are so many people who do drag for different reasons. And there are the, you know, that's where you start getting into the cross-dresser, the performer, the transsexual. There are different things. I am a stage performer, so my makeup is not made for women. It's made for the stage. So I do my makeup as though I'm going to be on stage. I never worry about trying to pass and daylight and all that other stuff. So, you know, my objective is completely different than someone who like is a cross-dresser or a transsexual who lives as a woman. I'm a jeans and t-shirt kind of person, so I don't, you know, and during the winter, a sweatshirt and a jacket. That's it. I don't need any extra. I don't need, you know, jump in the shower, get out, dry off, put on my clothes, leave. I don't need too much. If I had to do drag every day, I probably would not want to do it and probably wouldn't want to be a performer. In the South, when I was coming up, that was the thing, was that like they automatically assumed that you were going to go that route. You were going to be a transsexual, you were going to be, you know, you were going to be a woman. And when I decided that I wasn't going to go that route, because when I first started doing drag, a lot of bars and people were like, oh my God, we'll sponsor you. This is back in Florida. And drag is so different down there. Like in the South, it's like a religion. And they really love their drag queens and they will support them to the end. And so once you start it, they want to make you, you know, into this woman. They, like whatever character you create, that's what they're willing to help you create. And I just wanted to do the shows. I didn't want to do any augmentation or put in breasts and all that other stuff. So once they figured that out, I sort of kind of got blacklisted for not being a transsexual because I wasn't going to do all that stuff. And it was weird. It was really kind of weird how I was the up-and-coming performer, and then when they realized I wasn't going to go that route, then suddenly I was like a pariah, like, oh no, don't work with her. So, sure. I had a couple of friends, like I had a roommate back in the 80s who showed me how to do my makeup, and he was really good. His name was Rick Fournier. And, but like, you know, the best way to learn is to actually just take some time and sit in a mirror, get a bunch of magazines, and find a look that you like and see if you can recreate it. You know, look at the colors, look at where they are, and see if you can try and apply it that way. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, you know. And everybody has their own way of doing their makeup. Some people, you know, I know, like mine, I almost feel like it's a stencil. Like I know exactly where I'm supposed to go and how much I'm supposed to put on and all this stuff. So I've been doing the contouring and all that stuff for years. The only thing that changes from time to time are the colors for the eyeshadow, because I might want to go for a brighter color or a more dramatic look. But for the most part, I generally kind of keep my makeup the same. And that way it's consistent. I mean, when I'm in drag, I always feel like I'm the same person. However, I do know that there are some characteristics and things that I do that just come naturally once I get everything on. I don't really feel like I'm in complete Jade mode until I have my earrings on. To me, that's the finishing touch, and that actually kind of seals it and lets me see exactly the balance of what I did with my makeup and everything else. A lot of people are probably going to feel really uncomfortable about this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Because it's a very important part of my life, even though it's not a very nice thing that happened. I was molested as a child by an uncle. And he recognized in me early on that I liked feminine things and that I enjoyed, like when I was a kid, I would run and go and grab my grandmother's wigs and put them on, and we would do little shows for the family. I was the first one to play the girl part. And so he kind of tapped into that. And unfortunately, in the molestation, he degraded me about being feminine. And I went, you know, it was a long process. I went through therapy about it. I talked about what it was for me. Why did I go in that direction? And it was because of, to me, femininity and masculinity, they're concepts. These are things that people are taught. They're not real. We are all of those things at once. It's just what you decide to do when you walk out the door. It definitely was an important part of the movement, obviously, with the Stonewall riots, because it was the drag queens who started the fights with the cops. You know, so it always cracks me up when I see these big burly guys, you know, like bitching about like, oh, these effeminate guys, they're giving us a bad rap and blah, blah, blah. Well, it wasn't the big burly guys who started the fight with the cops. It was the drag queen with the purse who went out and fought with them first. And then you guys decided to join in. The biggest political thing that you could do is go out and be yourself. So if this is a part of yourself, if this is really who you are or what you like to do, then this is like the best way to express yourself and let the world know that you are not afraid to be who you are. And definitely going out in public like this, because it can be very dangerous. I get out of doing drag an expression of, this is what I think pretty is. This is what I think a woman should feel like. Like, how I feel when I'm in drag is what I think a woman should feel like. Although I don't know what a woman really does feel like. But that's what it means to me. RuPaul says that you're born naked and the rest is drag. And that is true. That's the political statement that she said. That is true. To me, whatever it is that you decide to put on after you are born, that's your drag. So it could be leather, it could be office drag, it could be anything that you use to identify yourself with, that is drag. The way that television and everything is portraying gay now, kids are coming out a lot earlier, and they're given sort of a false security about coming out, that it's going to be okay because it's all over television, blah, blah, blah. But the reality, you know, it's not the same as coming out in a big city, or, you know, so you have a whole nother experience than what it would be like. I mean, in a big city, there are places for you to go and talk to people and get involved in some sort of community. But when you live in a smaller place, you know, you really actually need to be careful about who you talk to and who you tell. You know, because it's not going to be, you know, this big gay pride rally that you think it's going to be. That comes later when, you know, you're older and you're making some bigger decisions for yourself. So I follow the whole rule of Hollywood. A good red lipstick, a blood red, you can never go wrong. This is a very cheap lipstick. But as Tim on Project Runway says, I'm gonna make it work. Now, I find, especially being of the African American ilk, that to get a wig to look a little better and a little more natural on a black girl, it is almost essential to let it get a little nappy. These are two wigs. So the one on top, I barely put any hairspray on. But the one on the bottom, I put a lot of hairspray on. So I let the hairspray, and it's always good to do this with an older wig and a new wig. So the one on top is a newer wig. The one on the bottom is an older wig. So I don't care if I fry it because I've already gotten most of the use out of it. I'm just using it for a hairline at the moment. So, and what you do is you take garbage bags, or bags that you get from the store, and you crumble them up and you put them inside in between them. So that gives the lift. So you can probably hear that's the bags in there. That's giving me the volume. Otherwise, this would be really flat on my head. I'm giving away some major tricks of the trade here. I need to plan out what it is that I'm doing. I want control over what time frame I'm working with, how I'm going to present myself. Just walking in and picking a number as the night goes, I can't do it. I need to plan out everything. I need to know what I'm going to do, because as they teach you in acting class, there is freedom and structure. So if you have a structure to what it is that you're doing, then you have the freedom to do whatever it is that you want to do. I like performing, and I do like being on stage, but I want to make sure that I'm on stage for the right reason. I don't just want to be up there. You know, I want to make sure that I have something to say when I have everyone's attention. So, as I always say, my look is not complete until I put on earrings. So that's what I need to find, is the perfect earrings. Perfect. What do you think?
My loveliness, my loveliness, loveliness. Bask in my loveliness, my loveliness, loveliness. Bask in my loveliness, my loveliness, loveliness. Bask in my loveliness, my loveliness, loveliness. I am the queen. I am the queen.
For me, the thing that stimulates me creatively, and this is part of the reason, because I'm a playwright, that I wanted to write for that character, is that whenever I see her perform, I go back to the 50s in like a jazz club, and I see her as a real woman of that time period. And that's the other thing I love about watching Jade, is that, I mean, as a lesbian, I can actually completely forget that Jade's a guy in a dress, because Jade Elektra is one of the few drag queens that actually truly moves like a woman. Not like an exaggerated form of what guys think women are. So, just even the hands, everything, it's, you know, the physicality is quite amazing.
They're big hands, but they still move.
No, but when you walk across, when you are Jade, I really feel like you totally own a female body. I mean, like it's hard to explain, but if you watch other drag performers, it's like it's all about the boobs. But it's, you don't believe they're really their boobs. But Jade, actually, you feel like what the body that she's got on stage is really her physicality.
Thanks.
Jade has an ability to be completely down to earth and completely sort of mellow, but at the same time sort of stick a few jabs in and tease lovingly, which is something that I love doing, and sometimes I'm not so loving about the way I do it. But the way that Jade can sort of work a crowd and still be Jade and still be fun, and if there's somebody that's bringing an energy that isn't what she wants, she can still bring it around to this happy, mellow, fun place. I mean, aside from, you know, the obvious, you know, the voice and the personality. I'm assuming everybody else has talked about your beautiful voice and the impressions that you do. Your Billie Holiday is incredible. I don't know, just the different characters that you play.
My dad had come down here and had seen me play here, and I was saying, you know, it's going to be a really good night. You know, Jade's doing a birthday show. I know it's going to be good. And my mom had been trying to find time to come down, and saying, hey, you know, this would be a good night to do it. And so, you know, them coming down, and they totally had a blast. And my dad, I think, still at the end of the night was going, that's not a dude.
What?
and then going, Dad. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jade is Alfonso. and then sitting, my dad sitting at the bar next to Michelle. Mm-hmm. And them totally hitting it off and having a fun night. And again, same thing. No. So
I could see Michelle. I can't see him looking at the 6'7" drag queen thinking, no, that has to be a woman. That's crazy.
I don't know. big power on stage.
Well, I guess if I believe it in my head, I guess that's what I put out. So.
As a young performer, it's really hard to start out because for me, I didn't go to theater school or anything like a lot of the other performers around here have. So without knowing where to go, the shows like that give you somewhere, and then you can build up a bit of a fan base, and it gives you it's a starting point, which is hard to find, especially in this community, unless you have someone like Jade Alfonso to give you a platform.
He's not afraid to be who he is, and that's what he's taught me. It's just all about being who you are. Listen to the music that you want to, listen to who you are inside, and just bring that out wherever you are, whether it be you as a man, you as a woman, and just anything in general.
Jade, honey, darling, you're fabulous, absolutely fabulous, on stage and off stage, and those eyes, absolutely fierce. Everything you're doing, keep doing it, because it's amazing, and I love you dearly. And you're going to take over the world someday, and I'm going to be right there behind you. Oh, and those eyes, did I mention those eyes? Fabulous. Love you.
Let's see. Last year this time you were ignoring calls from Madonna. Then you were trying to rescue your sister from falling houses and things. And last week you were feeling cunty. And now seriously gagging? Why are you gagging? Why are you gagging? Why are you gagging, Mystique? Why are you gagging? Why are you gagging, Mystique? Why are you gagging? Why are you gagging, Mystique? Why are you gagging? Why are you gagging, Mystique?
Your body gets used to them. So.
Oh, I feel like I'm crushing you.
She's a big fan of Paprika Jones, which you got. They haven't met Paprika yet. They
it's
will.
a good thing.
You will.
She gets it.
No, I'm Paprika Jones.
She's
That's
from
my
the
other
projects.
character. Yeah,
She's
I
from
do.
the projects. She's sleeping with other people.
She's sleeping
She
with
can't find her baby daddy.
Yeah, Paprika has 2 kids, and she don't know who her baby daddies is. Well, she knows one of them because the other one's in jail. But her little baby, Amnesia, that's her name. She don't know who Amnesia's daddy is. So.
Unfortunately. She should be going around blaming people for things that they did not do.
Why are you gagging, Mystique? Why are you gagging?
I went into a Burger King on 6th Avenue in New York, and there was a girl behind the counter, and I went in and ordered my food, and she was acting as though I was bothering her. And so something said, have her read your order back to you, and she read it back to me, and it was all wrong. And I was like, okay, I want to see your manager. And she was all like, what you want to see him for? And I was like, I just would like to speak to your manager. You don't need to see him. And so the manager heard us and came out, and I said, look, I don't mean no disrespect, but could you take my order, and I do not want her near my food. Why did I say that? This girl like went off. She was like, oh no, you didn't. You don't be talking to me like that. You talk to your garbagey friends like that, not me, because I'm a motherfucking lady. So I just had to do something with that kid. So rather than getting upset with her or whatever, I just took it and wrote a character and made it into a show.
Bitch, you sound fierce. And when I say fierce, I don't mean as in Mariah Carey fierce. Let's just say you sound more like Jim Carrey. What is that smell? Oh, you smell fierce. Is that poison? No, not the perfume, as in rat.
How y'all doing? Okay, I know y'all can make more noise than that. How you doing? When I ask you a question, I want you to act like I gave you $100, okay? Okay, how you doing? Right.
I have an idea. Let's take it to the runway, shall we?
My recording career started, I had a friend, a good friend named Calvin Roberts. And we were talking one day on the phone, and I was telling him about an event that happened at a bar where a queen fell off a speaker. And he thought it was really funny the way that I told him the story. So he was like, we need to record that. So I went to his place, and literally we recorded a couple of tracks of me talking, and he put it to music. And at that time in New York City, there was a new kind of style of tracks that were coming out that were called bitch tracks. And so I kind of fell in that genre, and totally had no idea that these would end up becoming like underground classics for some people. I guess the funny thing about my bitch tracks compared to most bitch tracks is that my bitch tracks are actually making fun of the people who are in the scene, but no one ever got that. So when I say bitch you look fierce, I'm not really giving a compliment, even though on their terms fierce is a good thing. If you listen to the song, listen to what I'm saying, I'm actually telling you the original meaning of fierce. But no one got the joke. So they loved the song, they liked the beat, and they vogued to it. And most of the kids who listen to the songs, they don't even know the references that I make, like to Glenn Campbell or who else? They knew who Naomi Campbell was and Jim Carrey. But I mean, I was making fun of the scene, but no one got it.
tears you down, darling. Says you're nothing at all, but I'll pick you up, darling, when she lets you fall. You're like a diamond, yet she treats you like glass. Still you beg her to love you, and me you tell her kiss your ass. If I were a woman, if you were a woman, if I were a woman, if you were a woman, if I were a woman, if you were a woman, here's what I'd do. I'd never, never, no. I said I'd never, never, no, stop loving you. The start of me DJing was the summer of 1980, and my uncle Herb King was moving from, I believe, Las Vegas to Tampa, and he had just gotten a job at a radio station called WMNF 88.5 community radio, and he was to do a jazz and R&B show, and he needed an assistant because he was blind, so and he couldn't like put his labels on the library records for the station, so he needed someone who could actually read and grab the records that he needed for his show. And so that's kind of how it started. As a child, like the first record I ever got was like ABC by the Jackson 5, and I used to wear it and my mother out daily because I would play it all the time, and I wanted to be Michael Jackson when I was a little kid. And then I remember at one point when I was living with my mother another time, there was a neighbor who worked at a bar, and so whenever they would clear out the jukebox, she would give me all the 45s from it. And for those of you who don't know what a 45 is, they were these 7-inch records that we used to play. They were singles, and that's how we got our singles before CD singles and all that stuff came along. And so I had this collection of 45s, and I used to play those all the time. So I was really into music, and I grew up listening to music. But this was kind of different because it was actually for broadcast, and then my uncle taught me about programming and how important that was. And he didn't mix, but he did a really great programming, and he always used to tell me that it was important to believe in what it is that you're playing, not to play, and understand the material that you're playing. The problem with a lot of DJs now, with how easy it is to mix with computers and CDs and all this other stuff, is that some of your best mixes are mistakes. So like when you have to worry about your turntable not functioning properly, you really have to pay attention. And then sometimes you might let the record go a little late or whatever, and it might turn out into a fabulous mix. So some of my worst mistakes turned out to be really great mixes, and I learned a lot from that. So I think that that's what's lost, the whole aspect of using vinyl and making those mistakes, because CDs and computers, they don't make mistakes unless you just accidentally hit the button too soon or whatever. My uncle I consider to be my main mentor, but the second mentor would be Walter Winston, and he was a legendary DJ there. Everyone knew Walter, and he had all these great mixes. He did these great things with songs. So those were some big shoes to fill, and I went over to René's because he was leaving to go to Orlando to work over at the Parliament House, and I get into this position, and I got a huge black following because of, I was new. I was the new black DJ, and but in a way it kind of counted against me, because of if I tried to work any other place, they would be like, oh no, he's a black DJ and he's going to bring in a black crowd. So I couldn't make it over to
Elgoria or tracks, they wouldn't hire me because of I would be considered to be too black. In '90, I had gotten an audition for The Crying Game. They were already casting, even though it didn't come out until a year or so later. Well, they had to make the movie, I guess. So they were looking for someone who looked pretty convincing in drag, but also could play a male part. And I went, and of course I didn't get it. Jade Davison, I think is his name, who got it. But that was my first trip to New York. I saw and met Madonna that trip, and was completely blown away by New York. And I was like, I really want to come back here one day. And I didn't really think that I would ever be able to do it, because I was like, oh, it must be super expensive to live there, and there's so many talented people and DJs and stuff like that. I could never get work there, so it never occurred to me that I would actually do it. Well, 1990 was a big year of all kinds of stuff happening to me, like going there for that audition, and I put together like all these shows for René's, so like I started being like a show director for different things, and that was also the year that I was diagnosed as being HIV positive.
Once upon a time, there was a little queen who dreamed of being famous. At 30-something, she was discovered, and her career took off. Too bad 10 years later, her tea would spoil it all. You better tell it. HIV. Sylvester, HIV, Willie, HIV.
I think one of the first important things in my youth is my first memory. And my first memory is of me falling down a flight of stairs. And I remember it only because I remember making the decision that I could navigate these stairs. I remember holding on to the railing part and looking down and thinking, I'm going to take this step. I can do this. I can do this. And I think I was trying to follow my mother downstairs. And I remember really psyching myself up, saying, I can do this. And I took the step, and I guess I didn't hit the center of the stair, I hit the edge of it, and I went tumbling. And I remember seeing the ceiling, the stairs, the ceiling, the stairs, the ceiling, the stairs. And I remember laying at the bottom of the stairs, like kind of dazed. And my mom came running out of the kitchen, and she starts screaming like, oh my God, my baby! And at that moment, because she was upset, that's when I started crying. I didn't cry because I hurt myself. I think I didn't know that I was supposed to be hurt, so I didn't know any better. So to me, that's a very important thing in my life, because if you don't know what pain is, then it doesn't really exist. So some of the most painful things that have happened to me, I've been able to sustain and handle. So I think that's the first important thing in my life. The second thing was probably getting my first record player, because I really just like fell in love with music. The high school years, those were some really painful times, between being teased and all that stuff, but really, or junior high to high school, being teased and figuring out a way to survive all that. And my mechanism was to make them like me. I was going to make them like me somehow, some way. And when I got the job at the Tampa Tribune, that was my end, because I got to, I got more information than most kids my age had. So I'm 11 years old, and I started working at the Tampa Tribune. I read once that someone says that someone wrote that it's you have two strikes against you if you're gay. First, that you're black, and then that you're gay, because you're sort of kind of on the lowest totem. You're the lowest point on the totem pole. I have had I probably have had more problems being black than I have been being gay. As far as like racism, I've had, I've not gotten jobs because of it, being black. I've had a bottle thrown at me on the side of the road while walking down the street, and someone yelling out the window, "Nigger." One of the earliest things that I remember about racism was watching my grandmother get spit on in a grocery store because this woman wanted to cut her in line. And my grandmother, because she was from Savannah, Georgia, like the way she was raised, you did not say anything bad to a white person. You didn't, so she couldn't do anything. And she just, I remember the look on her face and how mad she was, but how that must have been a really, really horrible moment for her. I've never forgotten that look on her face. And also thinking to myself that this is what life is, that the strange thing for like a kid of like 6 to have to witness and process.
Oh, really, darling? The title of this track is Riff. Reading is fundamental. Darling, you could never come for me when the extent of your travel is from the Bronx to Manhattan. Because you see, while I'm dining in Greece, you'll be frying your pork chops in grease. Canola oil, to be exact. I mean, look at you. Need I say more? Riff. That's riff.
It was 1990, and I had just gotten back from auditioning for The Crying Game. So I had this wonderful trip to New York, and I knew something was wrong. I felt like something was wrong. And I was living in this building, and John Dean was one of my neighbors. And I still have the suit. It's this huge, huge suit. And it's this gray suit. I have photos of it. I lent it to him, and I guess he didn't clean it or whatever. But and he's probably going to hate me for saying this or whatever. But he had scabies. And so it was on the suit, and I went to go do a show using it, and I had scabies. And I went to go, I'd never had scabies before, so I went to the free clinic, and I, something's wrong, I've been itching like crazy, I had this crazy rash, blah, blah, blah. So, they looked at that, and they were like, well, look, while you're here, you should probably get tested. And at first I didn't want to do it, but I knew, something in the back of my mind knew that I was positive. Something had been wrong for a while, like a few months. And I was just like, okay, I'll take the test. And I took the test, and back then, it wasn't an immediate test. You had to wait 2 weeks to get the results. And I remember dreading going to pick up the results. They had prescribed something for me for the scabies, so I had to go get that stuff. And I was just getting settled in my new apartment in this building, and I had I just gotten cable, so I went to go pick up the results, and I remember the woman calling me into the office, and I sat down, and I don't even remember what she said or whatever. All I know is I heard her say HIV positive. That's all I heard. She was talking to me, but that was the only thing that really registered. And then I kind of snapped out of it for a second. I was listening to her, and then she asked me if I was religious. And I said, not particularly. And she goes, well, you know, it might help to, like, maybe go back to the church or something. And I was like, wow. And, you know, because back then that meant a death sentence. Like, there wasn't there weren't that many drugs, and AZT was the only thing back then, and that stuff killed you as well. I had some friends who were on it, and it ate you from the inside. It killed the virus, but it also killed you. So it was kind of like, and I swore I would never, ever get on that stuff if it happened to me. And so I remember walking, but I was in such a daze and like numb almost from the news that I just started walking. And I had the results in my hand, and I folded them up and put them in my pocket, and I just started walking. And I walked from the clinic, which was in downtown Tampa, over to René's, which was over on Kennedy Boulevard. And I don't even know how far it was. It's probably a couple of miles or something. I don't know. And I got there, and I got the results at probably like noon or a little after noon. So I walked there, and I got there in the afternoon, and I had these sets to do for the show. And I remember I did all of the sets that day. I sat and painted the skylines there were these big sheets of plywood, like panels or whatever, that I had to paint the skyline on, and neon signs, and I did all of that in that one afternoon. And it had gotten dark. It was way after like 8 or something. And then I walked home from the bar, which wasn't that far, and I got in, and I sat on my couch, and I just didn't know what to do or whatever. And I had just gotten cable, so I turned on the TV, and Steel Magnolias was on, and I'd never seen it. So I start watching this, and, you know, by the time Shelby dies, I was bawling, like I was a wreck. And I remember I started like sobbing. I was like crying so hard that my nose started bleeding. And I remember I kind of composed myself for a second, and back then, which is probably going to even sound crazier to you now, I was actually dating a girl, this girl named Tracy, and I just kind of wanted to hear her voice. I didn't want to tell her what was going on. And I called her, and I thought I had myself together at that moment, and I called her and I said, you know, oh, I was just thinking about you, whatever. And she totally could hear that something was wrong with me. And she's like, what's wrong? And I was about to lie about it, and in my head, I was trying to think of something to say, and all I could hear was, you're gonna die. And so I started crying again, and I just told her. And she lived in Clearwater, and she drove over and sat with me that night. And the weird thing was is that she didn't want to break up with me. I thought that she would want to leave me or whatever, and she didn't want to break up with me. And it was I who ended up breaking up with her, because I just didn't feel it was fair to her. But that finding that out at that moment was, especially after coming back from New York, it seemed like everything was ruined, that I was not going to get to do the things that I wanted to do, and that I was, you know, I almost felt like I had wasted all these years, you know, not doing the stuff that I wanted to do. So in a way, me finding out that I was positive was a catalyst for me to get up and go do the stuff that I wanted to do. So it actually motivated me to come to New York, and it motivated me to go and try to do anything that I've always dreamed of. And I actually have pretty much done a good portion of what I dreamed. I've done more than that. April 30th, 2010, I got married to John Richard Allen, and probably like one of the best days of my life. I think one of the things that was really important about meeting him is that I've always been out to all my close friends about being positive and stuff, but I've never been out, like publicly out. And so like John is very, very out, and like is like, and especially online and social site forums, he is very out and very open about his status, and I really learned a lot about the power of doing that, because in my lifetime, I think everything that I've ever feared has already happened. So me coming out officially, like online and in public and like interviews and all that stuff, has definitely, like, I guess made me fearless, because there's nothing else for me to fear. I was afraid of becoming positive. Well, it happened. And I'm still here, so I'm not freaked out about that. I was afraid about people finding out. Well, I'm telling everyone now, and I'm still here. And there are still people in my life, and there are still people who love me, and I actually found someone who loves me and accepts it, and that's amazing. I would like Jade to be a spokesperson for HIV activism.
I wanna be kissed by you, just you and nobody else but you. Yeah, I wanna be loved.
Well, for all of the young people out there who think that, you know, oh, it's not a big deal now because of the meds and all that stuff, first thing I would tell you is, I'm going to tell you the stuff that they don't tell you. What the meds do and how you feel, and navigating trying to have a normal life when the meds are doing different things to your body. And like, sometimes it takes a while for them to find the ones that work for you, so you have to try different ones. And what happens is, like, okay, this isn't pretty and it's not nice, but I'm going to tell you, some of the meds, they give you the runs. You can't leave your house or you got to figure out how to leave your house. So if you got a job, if you got you know, a social life that you want to have or whatever, you got to plan that around what your meds are doing to your body. Some of the meds, they make you have really bad dreams, so you don't sleep well. Your sleeping patterns change. You have nightmares. You have they might not be nightmares. They might be just very vivid dreams. So you got to get used to that kind of stuff. There's tons of things. Your diet will change because you can't eat certain things on the meds. So something that you might really love to eat, you can't eat it anymore, or else your meds don't work. I love grapefruit juice. You can't take your meds with grapefruit juice. So, like, I have to take my meds with something else. If I'm going to have grapefruit juice, I have to drink it a little later so it doesn't affect my my meds, and make sure that they work. There's, you know, and then of course there's other things, like, okay, from the diarrhea that you might get, you'll get hemorrhoids. That's going to put a little speed bump in your sex life if you do certain activities. There's, you know, some of the meds, once you get on the meds, sometimes you get depressed. So then they put you on other meds for depression. That takes away your sex drive. That takes away you know, your want to get up and go do things or live, or, you know, it's just, there's so many other things involved. And then on top of it, then there are the people around you, your family. They constantly worry. Some of them take it worse than what you're taking. You know, because they think, oh my God, my child is dying. Your parents, they're like, oh my God, my child is going to die. It's not right that I should live longer than my child. You know, yeah, the meds keep you alive longer or whatever, but then, you know, there's the stress of how do you tell other people? And then the other thing, a lot of people think once you get it, then you don't have anything else to worry about, so then you can go do whatever you want. There's still other STDs out there. So you might be HIV positive, but you go out and get gonorrhea or syphilis or whatever, and what if you're not treating any of this stuff? You're going to die from that. You'll die from that before you die from the HIV. So it's just kind of like, it's really stupid to think that way.
I'm talking to you. Well, the first thing I'd like to say is I am not RuPaul, but I think you know that. But I have brought you such hits such as Bitch You Look Fierce and Why Are You Gagging? Remember those? Bitch you look fierce. Why are you gagging? 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 Why are you gagging? Why are you gagging? Bitch you look fierce. A friend of mine asked me once what I thought success was, and I said that success is being able to have $20 in your pocket after you've paid all your bills. Have $20 to go buy or do whatever you want with. That's my success. I've never really wanted anything more than that, and it would be great to be rich. It would be great to have, you know, a fabulous apartment and all that stuff. But the idea of actually being able to pay all my bills and still have a $20 bill to go and do whatever I wanted with, that was it. And coming to New York and like struggling, trust me, I struggled those early years with crappy jobs and real shitty apartments. You know, today that I'm still here and looking back over the things that I've gotten to do, and mind you, I've never considered myself to be successful. I'm not a successful recording artist or anything like that. I'm not on everyone's charts, and I'm not, you know, I'm not the RuPauls or the Lady Bunnies or any of those people when it comes to drag. But I've gotten to do some amazing things. I've been on television, I've been in movies, I've traveled, you know, I've met some amazing people along the way. I've been in love several times. That's successful to me. If my life ended tomorrow, I could not say that I didn't live a full life or a rich life, because in my opinion I have, and it had nothing to do with money. It just the idea that I actually got up and I really went and did the things that I wanted to do. That's great. That is so wonderful to look back and think that all those times of me sitting in my bedroom practicing with those crappy turntables and that little mixer, that like today I actually am spinning in other countries, and you know, I have people who download my music and my mixes on the internet from around the world. When I was a kid, me being in that lot across the street from my grandmother's house pretending to be a singer or a star, and in my own little fantasy world at the age of 7 and 8, like pretending that I was in front of a camera, to think that I actually grew up and really did get in front of a camera. It's amazing. It really is amazing that I actually did do those things. So I can't complain. I really can't. I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want to do is alright with me. Let me be the one you come running to. I want to spend my whole life with you. Let me say since, baby, since we've been together, loving you forever is alright with me. 'Cause you make me feel so brand new. And I want to spend my whole life with you. And what I wanna say is let's stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad.
Now, I didn't hear y'all that time. So when it comes up again, I want to hear y'all, right? I know you know the words.
Whether times are good or bad, happy or sad, why do people break up? Then turn around and make up. I just can't conceive, 'cause you never do that to me. Would you, baby? 'Cause being around you is all I see. And what I wanna say is let's stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. Stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad.
At the piano.
Let's stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. Oh baby, stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad.
Thank you.